Greetings. Welcome to another prophecy in the news. A lot are being said at the moment in regard to Donald Trump's latest post, which was published last Friday, 2 days ago. And we covered part of that yesterday, Sabbath. It has to do with Donald Trump posting a picture, an AI picture of himself as the Pope. As you know, the conclave is about to take place. The conclave, that is the election for a new Pope. And Trump, as we know, in many articles over the past years have been portrayed as Nebuchadnezzar, Darius, Constantine, Justinian, as a savior, and so on and so forth. But the latest one, as many are enraged or even saying this was a joke, I don't think that this was a joke. I think this is more prophetic than it is a joke. I also believe that they are using this as a joke to tell you the truth. This is very much like predictive programming. Was it a joke? I don't believe so. This is not a joke. From The Independent, we read, Trump posts image of himself as Pope on Truth Social. Critics erupt. President posts comes days after he joked, "I'd like to be Pope. That would be my number one choice." On the right side from the Hill, this was back in April 29th, 2025, Graham jokingly asked Conclave, the Catholic conclave, in charge of electing the new Pope, or should I say selecting the new Pope, Catholics to keep an open mind about Pope Trump. Now notice again, this was Graham who said this, jokingly, again there's the word joke there, asked the conclave, Catholics to keep an open mind about Pope Trump. And the next article from CNBC, May 3rd, 2025, says Trump posts AI generated photo of himself dressed as the Pope. The White House posted an AI generated photo of President Donald Trump depicting as the Roman Catholic Pope late Friday night, days after he joked that he'd like to be the Pope. The image, which first appeared on Trump's Truth Social account, was posted days before Catholic cardinals are set to begin a conclave to elect the next Pope. Was that a joke? And this was not the first time, as I've already stated, that Trump has been portrayed as a king on the left side. As you could see there from Time magazine, this was actually a tweet by Donald Trump where he says congestion pricing is dead, Manhattan, and all of New York is saved. Long live the king. And who is that king? President Donald J. Trump. And on the right, this is the post in question that Trump and the White House posted on Friday, depicting Trump as the next Pope. For the past 2 weeks, I have been talking about the role of Donald Trump, especially in light of Bible prophecies. Was that a joke? Or was that prophetic? Or a subliminal message? Now, let's put this out there. We know that Trump is not going to be literally, physically the next Pope. But as history reminds us that behind the next Pope, even perhaps the selection of the next Pope will be done by Donald J. Trump himself, because history must repeat itself.
I'd like to be Pope. That would be my number one choice.
Days after expressing a desire to become a pope, U.S. President Donald Trump on May 2nd posted an AI-generated image of himself dressed in papal attire. The now viral picture, which was also shared by the White House on X, was posted by Trump on his Truth Social page. While some social media users found the post humorous, others criticized it as insensitive, accusing Trump of mocking Pope Francis' death. After Pope Francis' death last month, the selection of a new pope is underway. However, given a chance and choice for Donald Trump, the selection process would have been way easier and less tedious. As the U.S. president, he would love to be the next pope. A week after attending Pope Francis's funeral at the Vatican, Donald Trump said becoming the next leader of the Catholic Church would be his #1 choice. As pope, I'd like to be pope, Trump said while responding to a reporter's question as he left the White House for a rally marking his first 100 days in office. That would be my #1 choice.
Mr. President, would you like to see us Pope? Do you have anyone
As Pope?
Yeah.
I'd like to be Pope. That would be my #1 choice.
What's your Mr. President?
No, I don't know. I have no preference. I must say we have a cardinal that happens to be out of a place called New York who's very good. So we'll see what happens.
This AI image of him in papal attire attracted several social media users' negative reactions, who found it insensitive after the death of Pope Francis.
Not by accident that we see these things taking place before us. Why? Remember the so-called 2027 prophecy. The Roman Catholic said that they have before the second coming.
Right now, we have Pope Francis in the hospital. Things are not looking good. He may not make it out. Even if he does, he can end up staying in the Vatican in a capacitated state, similar to what Benedict did, and we would have a new pope take control. Now, many people in confusion have labeled Francis the final pope, but that's not the case. If we actually go and look at the walls inside the basilica, you can see that next to Francis, there's one spot left. And that's pretty significant. It's pretty clear that the next one is the last one. Now, the confusion comes from the way that this whole thing was deciphered, so to speak. Because in the Lignum Vitae, there's a piece that is often put into the Peter the Roman part, but they're saying that no, it's a completely different sentence in itself, and that it shows that there will be an additional pope between the Olive and Peter the Roman, Benedict and Peter. So what this is pointing to is that this last slot, no matter what, goes to Peter the Roman, who will pasture his sheep through many tribulations. And there's not going to be any more after this, because there's no more room for it. It was never planned for. It was all called for to end on the watch of this last one that's about to step onto the scene, because Francis does not have much time left. Even if he comes out of the hospital, he's not in good shape. He's old. A new one is coming. And when you look at Malachi, who had prophesied that it took 422 years to get to 1585, the middle pope, he says that it would take another 422 and that it will be done. And that comes to 2027. So there you have it, laid out clearly. And you can see on the wall, there's a spot left for one more. So Francis definitely not the last one. Peter the Roman is about to step onto the scene.
Based on their so-called prophecy, they have this last spot left for the last pope. You can see it clearly on the screen, Pope Francis. Now we know he's dead, and they are about to elect another pope. Will that be the case? But one thing we do know for sure, this is a counterfeit prophecy. We know that we are living in the last days. And as we read before, this headline says, will Trump and Vance try to pick the next pope? And this will coincide, it will go along with prophecies. Revelation chapter 13 verse 2 tells us, the dragon gave the beast, the papacy, his power, his seat, and great authority. The dragon was Justinian, 538 AD. He gave the papacy power to rule. And the next emperor that came up was Constantine, who later legislated the first Sunday law. And once again, we've covered this before. Here are the histories there from both Constantine and Justinian. And we know, based on this history, the same way pagan Rome was the dragon that gave the beast his power and seat and great authority, also pagan Rome was the power that legislated the first Sunday law. United States of America is also depicted in prophecy, Revelation 13:11 and Revelation 12:17, as the dragon in our day, who will lead the whole world to worship the first beast whose deadly wound was healed. So this was not a joke. Trump is fulfilling Bible prophecies, because we are told the Roman Catholic principles will be taken under the protection of the state. The protest of Bible truth will no longer be tolerated by those who have not made the law of God their rule of life. Trump is indeed making Catholicism great again. Trump is making America great again, in the sense, as Revelation chapter 13 verses 13 through 17 tells us, to make the image of the beast great again, unifying church and state. These are fulfillment of Bible prophecies. So in other words, when we see those things taking place, which, as we covered already, Trump is facing social media backlash for this post, but everything was well calculated to deceive the masses and also to remind us the role those men are playing in Bible prophecy. I hope and pray, brothers and sisters, you are ready, because this is not a joke. This is part of the Sunday law movement, and soon and very soon we will be tested. This is very serious, and soon and very soon we are going to experience this. May it is said of us, here are they who keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus.